Hello and welcome to the November edition of the Lit Gals. I am Marty Hoofer and I am so glad to be with you today. I am the digital content manager for Keep Indiana Learning and one of the Lit Gals, and it is my favorite half hour of the month talking about books with fellow readers. It's just the best. So I am glad to be here today, and I will turn it over to Anna. Let you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone, and happy November. My name is Anna Cook, and I am a literacy specialist, just going to all schools in Indiana and neighboring states. And yes, this is my very favorite time.
And I'm Morgan Mason. Hello. It's hard to believe that Thanksgiving is already next week. This month is flying by. I am also on the Keep Indiana Learning team. I am a professional learning specialist. So I am working mainly with schools and districts and teachers in the early literacy realm. Sorry, I can't talk today. So I'm going to kick us off with just a random topic that came up right while we were preparing for the session today. And I want to know what your ladies' opinion of the dust jacket covers on books is. I personally am not a fan of them. I think they're annoying. I don't really know why they're there sometimes.
Look at all of us shaking our head. No.
So let's talk about it.
Okay, well, I'll jump. So I didn't even think of this until just now. I have a book laying on my desk that I'm reading professionally, and I pick it up. Here it is. I don't even know where the dust jacket is, which is, I'm looking at my shelf. I have no idea because dust jackets annoy me so much. So, no, I take them off like immediately. Normally I at least know where they are, but this one I have no idea. Now I'm looking around like I don't have a clue. Now I will say, if they're on a library book, like this is one of the books I'm going to share later in the show, these don't bother me because they're taped on, right, and so they don't slide around. But for me, it's the slide around issue that I don't like.
Okay, so taped on, and they have that plastic thing, right? That truly is what it is supposed to do. It's not supposed to rip or slide around or whatever. So for me, my biggest pet peeve is when the desk cover is kind of flimsy and cheap, if you will. And it tears easily, and that really drives me crazy.
Yeah. My biggest pet peeve with them is, especially I see this more with children's books, but you take off the dust cover and the same exact picture illustration is on the actual hardcover, and I'm like, what is the purpose?
Why?
Just sell it without the cover.
Right. And so, okay, so if you're watching live, I know we've got some live viewers today. If you watch it later, we would love to hear in the comments what your thoughts are. So yeah, but this one, Morgan, there's nothing on it. I mean, I have this spine that reminds me the book is called Make It Stick. But I mean, so yeah, this is like the antithesis of a kid's book because there's nothing here. Yeah. But I do like how this feels.
Yes, and I like how it looks without the cover. Like I just like classic, clean, yes.
It's true. Yeah. So one, we need someone from the publishing industry to tell us why do they make dust jackets. Yeah. But two, I wonder when that became a thing, because when you think about like antique books, they're really plain. So when did that become a thing?
When?
And we all happen to agree on how we felt about these, but I'm wondering if there's someone that feels passionately the other way, like, oh, I love them. I can't imagine my book not having it.
Yeah.
And we won't make fun of you, we promise.
No. But okay, so it's interesting too. I also have laying on my desk. I have not read this one yet. It's still laying here. But it's a paperback book. And so, they don't get dust jackets and they feel different yet than a hard. So I don't know. I've never thought about this until literally right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, girls, we have to reel it in.
Okay.
can't talk about this the whole
Talk
time.
about what our topic is today.
Okay. Which I'm very excited about this topic. I cannot believe we've never done it before. Kind of like last month's show with the movies. I can't believe we've never done this. So Anna, I'm going to let you talk about what it is. But I love it.
All three of us really do love Thanksgiving because there's food involved, and yeah, we love to partake in eating. And so we talked about just having a topic of food and, books that have food in them or talk about food. And so we really got excited about this topic. And so we just wanted to share with you some wonderful books, children and adult books that have food in them. Not necessarily for Thanksgiving, but just have food. So I know that I talked about this book. It's kind of like that Elin Hildebrand. She always goes back to that book. Anyway, I really love this book, Salsa Stories. And I love it for so many different reasons, but one is that it actually has some incredible recipes, like Mexican hot chocolate, tortillas. It just has some guacamole, Guatemalan toast. So yeah, it just really has a lot of great recipes. So what this book also does, it talks about a family and their time together and the time that they share together, and then also talks about all of those wonderful dishes. And then in the back has the recipes.
I love that.
So Anna, isn't that book, maybe I'm thinking, I think I've got the right book. Is it almost like short stories that you can treat them as standalones, or do they all, I mean, I know they go together, but can you treat them as individuals?
So yeah, you could, yes. Yeah. But like you said, they do all go together, from different family, members, and everything. But I also love this story because, all of us have in our classes, English language learners, if you will, multi-language learners, whatever they're calling it now, right at this time. And I always wanted to be inclusive. And how do you be inclusive? And this would be one of those books. And I loved this book for that. I loved that book. This is just a fun book. I will never, not ever eat a tomato. And this is about a brother and a sister, and the sister is extremely picky, Lola. And this just talks about him trying to get Lola to eat certain foods. But I also love this book because it has actual pictures in with the drawings. And so I like that because sometimes drawings can be a little wonky, if you will, and kids just sit there and go, what is that? And so this is got some great pictures along with the drawings. And if you guys can see here, I love this, especially for our beginning readers, because there are drawings, of course, but it talks about different, apples, bananas, oranges, pizza with cheese, etc. So I like that too, because the kids can read the, the word and then see the picture. So those are my two. Very different, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, they both have tomatoes. There's your tie.
There you go. Okay. So who wants to go next?
I will share.
Morgan?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, so the first book that I brought to share is a fan favorite in our house right now, Dragons Love Tacos by Adam Rubin.
Good one.
That's how you pronounce his last name. We love this book. My oldest is obsessed with eating tacos because of this story. We even bought the little like things that you put the taco in so that it doesn't fall apart.
Ooh, fancy.
After not letting all the toppings fall out of the taco shell, and that causes quite a bit of heartache for him still, but we'll get there. But this book is so cute because it talks about essentially dragons love tacos, but they hate spicy salsa. And inevitably in this story, dragons are exposed to spicy salsa at some point, and it does not go over well. So it's a very cute book. And it's actually funny because, so we talked then about like spicy and what that means. And the other day, Wells, who's my oldest, my youngest wanted something that he had that he was eating. And Wells goes, "Oh, he wouldn't like it. It's spicy." And I was just like, what? And so he in his mind was like, "Oh, I'm going to use that." Like, and it was not something spicy. Like it was something that his brother would have loved to eat, but he was like, "I don't want to share it. So I'm just going to go with it's spicy. You wouldn't like it."
I love that. But Morgan, here's what I love the most. I mean, think about this book. One, I mean, you've got one child that wants to start eating tacos. Now, maybe to an obsession, but, still wanting to eat tacos. I think that's fabulous because of a book that you read to him.
Right.
That's great. And then also think about the vocabulary.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the connection.
I mean, that is amazing that he heard a word, thought it sounded right, was great in context. Right? Yeah. Think about that.
Like, oh, what does that mean to actually be spicy? But
context.
Yeah.
That's really good, Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
wasn't always my intention, but worked out.
Yeah,
it did. Yes.
It goes to show what those exposures to new vocabulary and new text experiences.
Absolutely.
All day.
And you know what, Morgan? Exposure in all age levels.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the other book that I actually listened to this one. I'm a big audiobook girl, so I don't have the physical copy, but Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. That was a really popular book. I feel like a couple years ago is when it really took off. I just read it recently, and I loved it because the main girl in the story, she's a chemist, and so it's mainly about her life as a chemist and her work and all that, but then she takes on this passion for cooking, and it's more than just the cooking itself, it's the chemistry behind why certain ingredients work together and all of that. And so it was just really cool. I even learned a couple things about cooking like throughout the story, and it's also one that, going back to our theme for last month, it was turned into a show. I have not watched it, but I think that people really liked it. So I may check it out, over the holiday season when I have a little bit more time. But that was a book that I really enjoyed reading as well, because I got the science-y vibes and the food. And this one just popped into my head actually when we started talking about Thanksgiving. I wish I would have brought it with me today because we just read it last night. I'm sure you've read it. Marty, I don't know with your background if you've read it, but have you read Turkey Trouble?
No.
It's all about this turkey who he knows he's going to get eaten for Thanksgiving. He lives on a farm. And so he spends the entire book trying to dress up as a different animal in hopes that that'll like confuse the farmer. So he tries a pig, he tries a cow, and they're always just like, that's not working. And so at the end, he finally finds a disguise that's going to work, and he dresses up as a pizza delivery guy and delivers pizza on Thanksgiving to the family so that they won't eat him. So it's just a super cute book that I wish I would have brought it today because we just read it last night. But
okay, Turkey Trouble.
Yes. And I don't remember what the author's name is, but it's yellow and it has a big turkey on the front, so you can't.
I am going to get it because the boys are coming into town for Thanksgiving.
I love it. And my son was cracking up. He just thought it was so silly.
Oh, I can see that mine would love that. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Morgan.
Yeah,
that's good. Turkey Trouble.
All right. Well, I had never thought about about the exposure idea, Anna, that you were talking about with Morgan, but it's so true given the books I'm going to share, thinking about what it exposed me to as I read these books and then just broadening my horizons. So I have 3 books for you today. The first one is this is a solid middle grade read. It's called A Place at the Table by Sadia Faruqi and Laura Shovan. It's about 2 middle school girls, and they have nothing in common. We'll just put it bluntly. They have nothing in common except for a love of cooking, and a cooking contest in their town brings them together, and they realize their lives are completely different. Culturally, home life, completely different in every way, but they bond over their shared love of food, which I think is just beautiful. This book has some recipes in the back, and it's just a beautiful story of friendship. And honestly, the idea that when we sit down and eat with people, that knocks down a whole lot of walls that we let build up in our brain that really aren't there when we just sit down and share a meal. And I can't remember the character's name, Sarah and Elizabeth. I just loved my time with them. It's a great middle school book. Definitely leans more toward girls than boys. But man, middle school girls could all kinds of relate to this book, and maybe even like 4th or 5th grade. Some more talented readers that you might have at that point could totally handle that.
Marty, I love that too, because being a middle school girl can be very challenging at times.
So hard.
Just finding your place.
Yes. Yes.
So hard.
Yeah. And honestly, Morgan, that's a lot of what that book is finding your place is hard. And sometimes we don't look places because we just assume our place isn't there. Yeah. And really, maybe that's where our place is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I loved it. Beautiful little story. This next one, Elizabeth Acevedo. I know I've talked about her before. She is a favorite writer of mine. She writes mostly young adult stuff. She has an adult novel out as well. I think this was maybe her 2nd or 3rd book. And this is about a girl. Let me just read a little bit of the inside the jacket. Even though Imoni is the main character, even though she's always dreamed of working in a kitchen after she graduates, she knows that it's not worth her time to pursue the impossible. Yet, despite the rules she's made for her life and everyone else's rules, which she refuses to play by, once she starts cooking, her only choice is to let her talent break free. And it's talk about finding your place. And Imoni struggles to find her place, but she thinks she knows where it is. And man, she just pursues it despite all the obstacles in front of her. And so funny, the dust jacket conversation. So this is a beautiful book. Let me take the dust jacket off. Ta-da!
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Isn't that just gorgeous? So this is like the only book I've ever thought when I took the dust jacket off, it might be more beautiful than with the dust jacket on.
Very nice. And it's so unique too.
Yeah, very unique. Yes. Shiny.
And there's recipes in this one as well. A lot of fruit-based tropical foods in this one. And then my last one is an adult novel. It's a memoir called Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. Michelle is living on the East Coast. Her mom and dad live on the West Coast. She's trying to make it in this world as a 20-something, living her rock band best life. And mom calls her and mom is sick. And Michelle packs up her life and moves across the country to Oregon. And she does cry in H Mart. I won't give too much away about that, but it's over the shared Korean food that Michelle and her mom find their way back to each other. And it is an absolutely beautiful memoir. Memoirs are not my favorite, but I loved every page of this book. So highly. I think this one you can probably listen to read by the author, Morgan. So I think because there's so much Korean in this one, it would be great to listen to this book so you could hear the Korean words. recipes in the back of this one too. I know we don't have an H Mart here in Indy. I don't know where the closest one is, but this makes me want to go explore one. That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful. So there's my books. They're radically different, but all food related.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we are at that time where we ask our favorite question. What are you currently reading? So Morgan, what you reading or listening to?
I've got both going on. So I am reading A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham. I'm not too far into it. I just started it 2 nights ago and I left it on my nightstand, but it's a mystery thriller. One of those that I get through so fast because I can't seem to put it down. But it's definitely piqued my interest right away, which also is my favorite. And then I'm listening to, so a while back, I know I mentioned it on the show, I read Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. It was the one about the Tennessee Children's Home Society, that scandal with the woman doing all these illegal adoptions, essentially child trafficking. So anyways, I'm listening to, it's called Before and After, and it is the true story. So that story was fictional based on the events that had happened, but this is the true stories of children that were adopted by families through that society. And it is fascinating to hear real stories of people that, I mean, some of them knew that they were adopted from the beginning. Some found out when this scandal came out and hit the news, they found out, like, based on like, wait, that kind of fits with what my background was and how my parents went to Memphis to adopt me. So it's just been really fascinating to hear from people that actually lived this and then their families. I just got to a part where it talks about how, yes, this is the children that were adopted. It's their stories, but it's also their family stories, their kids, their grandkids, their great grandkids, that this is still affecting. And they're still trying to figure out, like, okay, where did I come from? Like, who was my adoptive mom? Did she want to give me up or did she not? So just grappling with all of that. So it's been a really good listen. So yeah, wow, what I am listening to. What about you?
Anna, what you got?
So talking about listening, I was listening to a podcast, meditation podcast conversation, and she had on Vincent Todd Tolman, and he wrote a book called The Light After Death. And I typically don't read these type of books or anything like that, but he was so real and so down to earth and so factual, if you will, as far as what he experienced, that I thought, I need to get this book. And that is exactly what I'm finding in this book. It's not really out there, if you will, but it also gives you food, like any of those other type of books. It gives you food for thought, if you will.
Okay.
And definitely not one of those books that I would read, but I ended up buying it, and I'm glad that I did. So very thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Okay, my book doesn't match what you guys are doing. You're doing these hard, heavy, thought-provoking. Okay, so I started it last night. I had to even look up the title. I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I don't have a book to show you, but it's called The Future of Us by Jay Asher. He wrote 13 Reasons Why. He's a YA writer, written lots of YA books. But the premise of the story is these two kiddos, these two teenagers, one's a junior in high school and one's a sophomore. They live next door to each other. And it's like the early 90s, and they're getting their computer. The internet has just become a thing. And the boy gives the girl a CD-ROM. So right there, we're aging the book, to download AOL and install AOL on her computer. And so I'm reading this last night, and I can hear the modem screeching as I am reading this book. So then once the girl gets AOL installed, it takes 97 minutes to download, which just cracks me up. We don't want to wait 97 seconds at this point in the time. But anyway, it took her 97 minutes in the book. And anyway, so she gets AOL installed, and then this website pops up, and it's white with a blue bar across the top, and it says Facebook. And she sees all of these random pictures and words, and she's like, what is this? And so that's where I am in the book. Bottom line, the premise of the book is these kids get to see their lives 15 years before it actually happens. Oh. So I have no idea where this story is going to go. I don't know if we're going to like time hop back. I have no idea where we're going. I'm on page like 25. So I don't know. The future of us. I have no idea where I'm going. I figured it would be fun. And so that's what I'm reading.
That sounds fun and very
good.
Yeah. It's just fun. So I don't know, but I do like. I've read other books by Jay Asher. I really like his stuff. This is not nearly as heavy as 13 Reasons Why, which is super heavy. But this I think will be pretty light and fun. So we shall see. Yeah. So, all right, ladies, it is time that we wrap this show up. So as always, especially here in the month of November, be well.
Do good work.
Keep in touch.